The rain hammered against the windows of Azure Palace, Seoul's most exclusive corporate tower, where only the city's elite dared to conduct business. Maya adjusted her black blazer, her dark skin glistening under the cold LED lights as she carried a portfolio of quarterly reports to the executive table, the seat everyone in the company feared approaching. Kang Min-jae sat there like a king surveying his empire, his sharp jawline catching the light, his cold eyes scanning the room with surgical precision. If you're new here, I want you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell for future updates. At 28 years old, he transformed his family's small tech startup into South Korea's third-largest conglomerate, and nobody questioned his ruthless methods. His custom-tailored Brioni suit probably cost more than Maya's annual rent, and the way he commanded the boardroom made senior executives tremble. "Your market analysis, Mr. Kang," Maya said professionally, placing the folder before him with practiced care. She'd learned the rules quickly in her 4 months as a junior analyst here. Never question his decisions, never speak unless spoken to, and never ever show weakness. Min-jae's gaze lifted to her face, and something cold flickered there. Disgust, maybe contempt. Maya's stomach twisted. "What is this?" he asked, his Korean accent sharp, but his English deliberately chosen. He wanted her to understand every word. "The Q3 projections you requested, sir." "Not the report." His lip curled. "You. How did someone so utterly unremarkable end up working at my company?" The entire boardroom froze. 30 executives held their breath. Maya's hand trembled slightly, but she maintained her composure. She'd survived worse than corporate humiliation. She'd endured things this privileged chaebol heir could never imagine. "I apologize if I've disappointed you, sir," she said quietly, though shame burned through her chest. Min-jae laughed, a sound like shattering glass. "Disappointed? That implies I had expectations. Look at you, that appearance, that mediocre presence. You're like every forgettable resume I've rejected." He turned to his executive team, all of whom nervously chuckled on cue. "Tell HR I want her terminated immediately. I don't need dead weight dragging down my company." Maya's jaw clenched. She'd faced discrimination before. Racism wasn't new to her. Not in Korea, not anywhere. But something about this moment, this man, this public destruction made something inside her snap. "Of course, sir," she whispered. And for just a second, her eyes met his. Something passed between them. A challenge, a warning, a storm gathering. As she walked toward the exit, Min-jae called after her. "And Miss Richardson, don't bother applying anywhere else in Gangnam. I know every CEO who matters. You're blacklisted." That night, Maya stood in her tiny office cell in Itaewon, staring at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Tears threatened to fall, but she refused them. Instead, she opened her secure laptop and logged into an encrypted system, one that Kang Min-jae would never expect a forgettable analyst to access. The screen illuminated with files, financial records, and classified documents. Maya's fingers flew across the keyboard with expert precision. Her real identity wasn't just Maya Richardson. It was Maya Richardson, senior investigator for the Financial Services Commission and Interpol, specializing in corporate fraud and chaebol corruption. She'd been undercover at Azure Corporation for 4 months, gathering evidence on Min-jae's business practices for an international investigation. But tonight, he'd made it personal. "You want to play, Min-jae?" she murmured, accessing his private accounts, merger documents, and internal communications she'd been quietly collecting. "Let's play." 5 days later, Min-jae's perfect world began to collapse. First, a major acquisition worth 300 billion won fell through when confidential bidding information leaked to his competitor. Then, the FSC announced a formal investigation into Azure Corporation's accounting irregularities. His CFO was suddenly summoned for questioning about stock manipulation, evidence that mysteriously appeared on a prosecutor's desk. Min-jae paced his penthouse office overlooking the Han River, his knuckles white as he gripped his phone. "Find out who's behind this," he snarled at his head of security. "Someone is targeting us. Someone with insider access." That's when an email appeared on his private server, the one supposedly impenetrable, used only for his most sensitive business dealings. Remember the unremarkable analyst? Min Jae's blood ran cold. Impossible. She was just a low-level employee, just some foreign woman. Then his screen filled with documents. Him bribing government officials. Proof of insider trading. Video recordings of illegal board meetings where they discussed falsifying reports. Everything. She had everything. Another email arrived. You destroyed my dignity. I'm destroying your empire. Watch carefully. Min Jae slammed his laptop shut, his mind racing. Who was she? How did she obtain classified information? And why was she still operating when he'd had his legal team threatening her? The answer came when 3 of his division presidents resigned simultaneously, each releasing statements about toxic workplace culture and illegal practices. And with each resignation was a small detail, a delicate blue paper butterfly left on their desks. Ho Jangnam. His secretary Park Ji-won rushed in, her face ashen. We traced her digital footprint, but sir, you need to see this. The security footage showed Maya, but she wasn't cowering or hiding. She stood outside the FSC building in Uido in broad daylight, arms crossed, looking directly at the camera. She wore professional attire, and behind her stood a team of investigators. Hello, Min Jae. Her voice came through crystal clear. Let me properly introduce myself. Maya Richardson, FSC senior investigator working with Interpol. I've been documenting your organization for Operation Clean Sweep. But you made a critical error when you humiliated me. You made it personal. Min Jae's hands shook with fury. This couldn't be happening. I have enough evidence to dismantle your chaebol, Maya continued. But that's not enough. You called me unremarkable. You tried to destroy my career. So I'm going to dismantle everything you've built, piece by piece, and you're going to watch every moment. The screen went dark, then displayed a final message. Your reckoning begins in 48 hours. Run if you want. I'll find you anyway. Min Jae stood slowly, his shock transforming into something darker. Respect mixed with cold rage. She'd outplayed him. She'd been outplaying him from the beginning. This analyst he dismissed, insulted, tried to break. She was the most dangerous opponent he'd ever faced. He grabbed his phone and made a call he never imagined making. Get me everyone. Every lawyer, every fixer, every connection. I need to stop this woman before she buries us all. But as he hung up, one thought haunted him. What if she wanted to be found? What if this was all part of her plan? And what exactly was she planning in 48 hours? The following morning, Min Jae's empire was crumbling and he couldn't stop the bleeding. His flagship AI product launch was cancelled after whistleblowers revealed falsified performance data. His investors pulled 500 billion won in funding following anonymous tips about financial irregularities. 2 of his subsidiary companies had their operations suspended by the Fair Trade Commission. And through it all, Maya's signature appeared, the delicate blue paper butterfly left at every scene. Min Jae sat in his crisis management room, a secure floor beneath Azure Tower, surrounded by his remaining loyal executives. Ji-won spread documents across the table, her hands shaking. Sir, she's everywhere. We've traced her activities to 6 different agencies in the past 24 hours. Every time we think we've contained her, she's 3 steps ahead. Ji-won's composure cracked. She's not working alone. She has international backing, legal immunity, resources we can't match. Whoever she really is, she's connected to something beyond the FSC. Min Jae studied the photos of Maya. In one, she was escorting a former employee into protective custody, his former finance director. In another, she was briefing prosecutors at the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office. In a third, she stood outside his family's estate in Pyeongchang-dong, just watching, sending a message. I can reach anyone you love. She wants me panicked, Min Jae muttered, his jaw tight. She wants me to make a mistake. Then what do? Ji-won asked. Min Jae's expression hardened. We give her what she wants. We let her find me. That evening, Min Jae leaked his location, a private conference room at Azure's research facility in Pangeo, where he supposedly kept his most sensitive corporate data. It was a carefully constructed trap. 40 security personnel positioned throughout the building, cameras monitoring every entrance, legal team on standby. He sat alone in the glass-walled room, waiting. At precisely 9 p.m., the building's systems crashed. Chaos erupted immediately, not from external hackers, but the security system locking down on itself, elevators freezing, access cards failing. Min-jae dove behind a desk as confusion exploded around him. When the emergency systems activated 5 minutes later, 20 of his security team were trapped in sealed corridors, unable to respond. The others were scattered, disoriented. And there, standing in the conference room where he'd been sitting, was Maya. She wasn't alone. 4 FSC investigators flanked her, their badges visible. But Maya herself stood with her hands casually at her sides, completely calm. "You're predictable, Min-jae," she called out, her voice carrying through the space. "Did you honestly believe I'd walk into such an obvious trap?" Min-jae emerged from cover, his lawyer appearing beside him. "You're trespassing on private property. This is corporate espionage." Maya smiled, the expression genuine and unsettling. "Try to have me arrested and this entire facility gets raided by every agency I've coordinated with. I have warrants ready. The FSC, the prosecutor's office, the National Tax Service, all waiting for my signal." She pulled out a tablet showing him the standby teams. "But that's not why you won't challenge me," Maya continued, stepping closer. "You won't challenge me because you need to understand why." Min-jae's practiced composure wavered. "Why what? Why I really came to Azure Corporation. Why I spent 4 months being invisible. Why I let you humiliate me." Her eyes locked onto his, and for the first time, he saw beyond the federal investigator. He saw pain, fury, and something deeply personal. "Do you remember a woman named Maya Richardson? 25 years old, financial analyst, found dead in her Mapo-gu apartment 3 years ago from an apparent overdose." Min-jae's expression remained neutral, but something shifted in his eyes. "She was my younger sister," Maya said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "She worked at your company in the accounting division. One night, she discovered evidence of the securities fraud you were committing. She planned to report it, so you had your legal team destroy her, threaten her, harass her until she couldn't bear the pressure anymore." The room went completely silent. Even the investigators stopped moving. "The FSC recruited me specifically for this investigation," Maya continued. "But they don't know the real reason I accepted. They think I'm here to prosecute your financial crimes. But I'm here for Lisa. I'm here to make you pay for driving my baby sister to take her own life." Min-jae lowered his defensive stance slowly, his brilliant mind processing everything. Maya Richardson. He didn't specifically remember her. His legal team had silenced dozens of potential whistleblowers over the years. But if this was true, so this was never about justice, he said quietly. This was revenge. Justice, revenge. What's the difference when someone you love is gone? Maya's voice cracked slightly. "You called me unremarkable. You tried to humiliate me. But you have no idea what unremarkable really is. Unremarkable is identifying your sister's body. Unremarkable is knowing the person responsible continues thriving, building wealth, gaining power. Unremarkable is what I became to get close enough to destroy you." Min-jae surprised her by laughing, a genuine, almost impressed sound. "You infiltrated my corporation, earned the FSC's trust, manipulated international law enforcement, and dismantled my business empire piece by piece, all for revenge. You're not unremarkable, Maya Richardson. You're extraordinary." Maya's eyes narrowed. Don't what? Acknowledge your brilliance." Min-jae spread his hands. "You want to arrest me? Go ahead, execute your warrants. But we both know that's not enough. Prison isn't enough. You want me to suffer." "You're finally understanding," Maya said coldly. "Then let me propose something." Min-jae's tone shifted, becoming calculated. "You've destroyed my reputation. My company is under investigation. My board is turning against me. In the business world, I'm finished. You've already won. That's not enough. I know. He pulled a USB drive from his pocket and tossed it at her feet. That contains everything. Every person who was involved in silencing your sister. Names, evidence, documentation. There were 4 people directly responsible. I was one of them. Maya stared at the drive, her heart pounding. The FSC will give you justice through courts and prison, Min-jae continued. But you and I both know that's not what you want. You want them to experience what Lisa experienced, what you've experienced. Why would you give me this? Maya demanded. Min-jae's smile was dark. Because I recognize someone like myself. You're not a hero, Maya. You're just like me, someone who will burn the world down for the people they love. The only difference is your sister was innocent. The people I've protected are not. Maya's team shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't protocol. So here's my offer, Min-jae said, his eyes gleaming with something dangerous.
Take the drive.
Pursue everyone responsible. I'll even help you. Provide resources, information, access. In exchange, you convince the FSC to accept a settlement deal. Let me rebuild quietly. You think I'd work with you? Maya said incredulously. You destroyed Lisa. Yes, and I deserve everything coming to me. But those other 3, they're more powerful than me. They're hiding behind respectable positions, families, political connections. They've never paid for what they did. The system will never reach them. He paused. But you could. Maya picked up the USB drive, her hand shaking. Every part of her training screamed this was wrong. But the part of her that was still Lisa's big sister, the part that had driven her for 3 years. I need time, she whispered. You have 24 hours, Min-jae said. After that, my offer expires and we return to being enemies. Choose carefully, Maya Richardson. Choose what matters more, being a good agent or being a good sister. Before Maya could respond, the building's fire suppression system activated. In the chaos, Min-jae disappeared. When the confusion cleared, he was gone. Vanished. Maya stood there, the USB drive clutched in her hand, her team demanding orders, sirens approaching outside. She connected the drive to her tablet with trembling hands. Files appeared, photos, financial records, video evidence. And there she saw them. The 3 other people responsible for Lisa's death. One was a senior prosecutor, one was a National Assembly member, one was a Chable family head. All untouchable. All protected by the very system Maya served.
Her phone rang.
Unknown number. She answered. Min-jae's voice came through. 24 hours, Maya. Will you be an agent or will you be a sister? The line went dead. Maya looked at her team, at the evidence, at the impossible choice before her. And for the first time since this began, she didn't know what to do. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat in a safe house in Gangnam, the USB drive on the table before her like a loaded weapon. Her team had been dismissed. Her supervisors at the FSC were demanding explanations for how Min-jae escaped, and the prosecutor's office was threatening to revoke her operational authority. But all she could see were the files. Prosecutor Lee Sang-min, senior prosecutor at the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's Office, the man who had buried Lisa's case, ruled it a suicide despite evidence, suggesting otherwise. The file showed wire transfers, 200 million won deposited into his account the week after Lisa died. Detective Choi Hyun-woo, investigator with the Seoul Metropolitan Police, the man who had lost crucial evidence, who had intimidated witnesses into silence. The file contained recordings of him laughing about it with Azure's legal team. Chairman Park Dong-hoon, head of one of Korea's top 5 chaebols, the man whose company had business ties with Azure, the man who had pressured authorities to close Lisa's case. And finally, Assemblyman Kim Jae-sung, rising political star, the man whose influence had made everything disappear, who had personally called in favors to protect Min-jae's interests. 4 pillars of Korean society. For monsters wearing respectable masks. Maya's phone buzzed. A message from an encrypted number. 12 hours remaining. I'm watching the prosecutor right now. He's having dinner with his family in Cheongdam-dong. His daughter is 9 years old. About the same age Lisa was when you first taught her to swim, I imagine. She threw her phone across the room, her hands shaking with rage. Min-jae was manipulating her, pushing her toward a choice she couldn't undo. Another buzz. She retrieved the phone. A photo. Prosecutor Lee laughing at a restaurant, his young daughter on his lap, completely unaware her father was a destroyer of lives. The message read, "Does she deserve to lose her father? Did you deserve to lose Lisa?" These are the questions that separate people like us from everyone else. Maya typed back, "You're a monster." The response was immediate. "Yes. But I'm a monster offering you what the law never will. Real justice." 10 hours remaining. At dawn, Maya made her decision. She walked into the FSC headquarters and submitted her resignation, effective immediately. Her supervisor, Director Huang, tried to stop her. "You're the best investigator we have," Huang argued. "Whatever Kong offered you, it's not worth throwing away your career." "This isn't about my career," Maya said quietly. "This was never about my career." She left her badge, her credentials, and her official identity on the desk. Maya Richardson, FSC investigator, ceased to exist. But Lisa's sister? She was just beginning. 8 hours later, Maya stood outside the Seoul Central District Prosecutor's office in Siachogu. She'd been watching Prosecutor Lee all morning, conducting interviews, wielding his power, living his privileged life built on corruption and blood money.
Her phone rang.
Min-jae, "I knew you'd choose this path," he said, satisfaction evident in his voice. "I'm not doing this for you," Maya snapped. "I'm doing this for Lisa. But understand something. When I'm finished with them, I'm coming for you too." Min-jae laughed. "I'd be disappointed if you didn't. But first, let's discuss strategy. You can't simply destroy them. That would make you a criminal and dishonor Lisa's memory. We need to be methodical."
"We."
Maya's voice dripped with venom. "Yes, we. Like it or not, we're partners now. At least until these 3 are handled."
He paused.
"I'm sending you an address. Meet me there, in 1 hour. Come alone." The address led to a private hanok in Bukshan, renovated and secluded. Maya arrived to find Min-jae sitting in the courtyard, surprisingly alone, no security visible. "You came," he said simply. "Talk quickly. What's your plan?" Min-jae stood, pulling out a tablet. "We destroy them the same way you destroyed me. Systematically, legally, publicly. We expose their crimes. Let the system they've corrupted turn against them. The prosecutor, we leak his financial crimes to the media. The detective, we expose his misconduct. The chairman, we tip off his corporate rivals and regulators. The assemblyman, we show the public how he's abused his position." "And you just happen to have all this ready?" Maya asked suspiciously. "I've been building my empire for a decade. I have leverage on everyone who matters." Min-jae's expression darkened. "But I need your help. You have international contacts, media connections, legal expertise I don't have. Together, we can ensure they don't just fall. They're completely annihilated." Maya studied him. "Why do you really want to help me? What's your actual motivation?" For the first time, Min-jae's mask slipped. "Because I'm tired, Maya. I'm exhausted from being the villain everyone expects me to be. Your sister's death, it wasn't supposed to happen. I gave the order to discourage her, to make her leave Azure quietly. My legal team went too far. When I learned what happened, I fired everyone involved. But that doesn't bring her back. That doesn't undo what I set in motion. You expect me to believe you have a conscience?"
"No."
"I expect you to believe I have regrets." He met her eyes. "Help me take down these 3, and then you can take me down too. Fair trade." Maya's instincts screamed this was a trap. But the files were real. The evidence was solid. And she was out of options. 1 month, she said. "We have 1 month to destroy all 3 of them. Then you and I settle this." Min-jae extended his hand. 1 month. She didn't shake it. "Let's begin." Over the next 4 weeks, Seoul's elite began to crumble. Prosecutor Lee's financial crimes leaked to every major media outlet. His face plastered across Naver and Dom, his corruption exposed. He was arrested, his daughter's photo going viral as she cried outside their home while reporters swarmed. Detective Choi's recordings mysteriously appeared in an internal affairs investigation. Public protests erupted. He was fired in disgrace, and criminal investigations opened into dozens of cases he'd mishandled. Chairman Park's company was raided after an anonymous tip revealed systematic fraud and illegal dealings. His empire collapsed within days, his assets frozen, his reputation destroyed. But Assemblyman Kim was different. He was protected, powerful, connected to the Blue House. Taking him down would require something unprecedented. "We need his confession," Min-jae said during their final planning meeting. "We need him to admit what he did." "He'll never talk," Maya said. "He will if we make him the right offer." Min-jae's smile was calculating. "Leave that to me." 4 days later, Assemblyman Kim held an unexpected press conference. With trembling hands, he announced his resignation and admitted to abusing his position to cover up corporate crimes that contributed to a young woman's death. He claimed he'd been blackmailed into confessing, but the evidence was overwhelming. Documents proved his involvement. Communications placed him at the center of the cover-up. His political career imploded instantly. His party expelled him. Everything he'd built turned to dust. Maya watched the news coverage from a hotel room in Itaewon, tears streaming down her face. "Lisa," she whispered. "They finally paid. All of them." Her phone rang one last time. "Min-jae." "It's done," he said quietly. "Your sister can rest now." "Where are you?" Maya demanded. "Somewhere you'll never find me. I kept my end of our deal. I helped you get justice. But I'm not ready to face consequences yet. Maybe someday, but not today." "Min-jae. You're a good person, Maya. Despite everything you've done, everything you've become, you're still good.
Don't lose that.
Don't become like me." He paused. "And for what it's worth, you were never unremarkable. You were always the most brilliant person in that boardroom. I was just too arrogant to admit it." The line went dead. Maya sat there, phone in hand, emotions warring inside her. Fury that he'd escaped, relief that Lisa's destroyers were punished, confusion about the man who'd helped her achieve it. She walked to the window, looking out over Seoul's glittering skyline. Somewhere out there, Min-jae was disappearing into the shadows. And somewhere out there, Lisa could finally rest in peace. But Maya's story wasn't over. Because 3 months later, she received a package at her new apartment in Yongsan. Inside was a single item, a plane ticket to Tokyo and a note in familiar handwriting. "They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But what about redemption? If you want to know who really ordered your sister's silence, who controlled my strings, meet me in Busan. This goes deeper than you think. K." Maya stared at the ticket, her heart pounding. The 3 conspirators had paid. Justice had been served. But what if they were just pawns too? What if someone else had orchestrated everything? What if Lisa's real destroyer was still out there? She picked up her phone and booked a flight to Busan, her hands steady, her purpose renewed. Some stories don't end. They evolve. And Maya Richardson's story? It was just beginning. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss what happens next. Type episode 2 in the comments if you're ready for the next episode. See you in the next episode.